Hello, New York Yankees fans. We have brand new exclusive videos and the latest news for you. Before we get started, we'd like to invite you to join our channel and give this video a like. It's crucial to get exclusive access to the latest updates. The baseball world woke up buzzing with whispers that feel too loud to ignore. And if you've been around this game long enough, you know when the noise reaches this level, something serious is moving behind the curtain. The rumors spreading through clubhouses, podcasts, and late-night group chats says that GIANCARLO Stanton's chapter in New York has quietly closed, and that the Yankees have decided to move on, sending the powerful slugger to Seattle. Nothing official, nothing confirmed, just that familiar feeling that an era is slipping away. For years, Stanton represented raw power, towering home runs, and the promise that any swing could change the night in the Bronx. But baseball is a business wrapped in emotion. And sometimes the biggest names become the biggest questions. People close to the situation are hinting that this was not a sudden decision, but a slow realization that both sides needed a fresh start. When a franchise like the Yankees starts listening instead of talking, you know something fundamental has shifted. From a New York perspective, this rumored move feels like a mix of relief, regret, and realism all at once. Stanton arrived with superstar expectations and moments that reminded everyone why he was once the most feared hitter in the league. Yet, season after season, conversations about health, consistency, and roster flexibility kept following him like a shadow. Insiders are speculating that the front office finally reached a crossroads where nostalgia could no longer outweigh strategy. The Yankees are obsessed with championships, not memories. And the idea of reallocating salary space and at-bats has reportedly become more attractive than holding onto a symbol of past ambition. Fans are divided, some grateful for the memories, others frustrated that it never fully clicked the way it was supposed to. In the echo chambers of sports talk, people are saying this trade represents a philosophical shift. A Yankees team willing to admit a gamble did not pay out as planned and ready to rewrite the script. On the other side of this rumor, the Seattle Mariners emerge as a fascinating destination that almost feels poetic. For years, Seattle has been searching for a true middle-of-the-order presence, someone whose reputation alone changes how pitchers approach an entire lineup. Stanton, even in speculation, brings that aura instantly. The talk around the league suggests the Mariners see this as a calculated risk, a swing for the fences that could energize the fan base and accelerate a competitive window that feels just barely open. Imagine Stanton's power playing against the backdrop of the Pacific Northwest, a new stage, fewer tabloid headlines, and a chance to redefine himself away from the constant spotlight of New York. Some believe the Mariners are betting on environment as much as talent, hoping that a different rhythm, a different pressure, and a different narrative could unlock a version of Stanton that still terrifies opposing teams. What makes this rumor even more compelling is how quietly it seems to have developed. There was no dramatic fallout, no public feud, no obvious breaking point. Instead, sources suggest months of internal discussions, medical evaluations, and long-term planning finally aligned. The Yankees, always obsessed with control, may have decided that predictability was worth more than potential. Meanwhile, Seattle's front office has built a reputation for patience. And some insiders think they view Stanton as a short-term lightning bolt rather than a long-term cornerstone. This is not about building a team around him, but about inserting him into a structure that already exists. That distinction matters. In New York, Stanton often felt like a symbol. In Seattle, he might simply be a weapon, and sometimes that difference can change everything. Fans across both cities are reacting in wildly different ways, even though nothing has been signed or announced. In New York, there's a strange calm mixed with nostalgia, as if people had already started preparing for this goodbye without realizing it. Highlight reels are resurfacing, debates are reigniting, and the question of what could have been hangs heavy in the air. In Seattle, the rumor feels electric, almost unreal, like a blockbuster movie trailer that drops without warning. People are imagining jerseys, lineup cards, and moments that have not happened yet. That is the power of speculation in sports. It creates realities before reality arrives. Whether this deal truly materializes or not, the emotional response alone shows how much Stanton's name still carries weight across the league. At its core, this rumored trade feels less about one player and more about timing. Baseball careers are defined by moments when paths diverge, and this might be one of those moments for Stanton and the Yankees alike. New York may be choosing flexibility and future options, while Seattle may be choosing impact and urgency. Neither approach is right or wrong, just different reflections of where each franchise believes it stands. As a storyteller of this game, you can feel the tension in the air, that sense that something significant is about to be confirmed. Until then, all we have are whispers, educated guesses, and that familiar thrill of imagining how one move could reshape two very different baseball worlds. Now, as we move deeper into this speculation, the second part of this story focuses on what this rumored change could mean for Giancarlo Stanton himself, beyond logos and uniforms. For a player who has lived under constant scrutiny, leaving New York might feel less like exile and more like release. Insiders close to players often talk about how the daily weight of expectations in the Bronx can drain even the strongest personalities. Seattle offers a different energy, one where performance still matters deeply, but the noise fades faster. The rumor suggests Stanton is intrigued by the idea of rewriting his narrative, of being discussed for what he contributes rather than what he costs or what he cannot do. In a new clubhouse, he would not be the symbol of a grand plan, but a veteran presence with something to prove. That kind of motivation can be dangerous in the best way possible for opposing pitchers. From a baseball strategy standpoint, people around the league are already imagining how pitchers would adjust if this move becomes reality. Stanton's presence forces mistakes, even when he is not at his peak. Managers have to think differently, bullpens get reshuffled, and game plans change. The Mariners, who have often been described as just one intimidating bat away from true balance, could suddenly look very different. Speculation suggests that this is exactly what Seattle's front office is chasing. Not perfection, but fear. A lineup that makes opponents uncomfortable can win games, even on nights when execution is not flawless. Stanton embodies that uncomfortable feeling, the sense that no lead is ever safe. There is also the human element that fans sometimes forget in the middle of trade rumors and financial debates. Stanton has built relationships, routines, and a life around his time in New York. Leaving that behind, even for a fresh start, is never simple. People close to the situation hint that this decision, if finalized, comes with mixed emotions on all sides. The Yankees may be ready to turn the page, but that does not erase shared experiences, playoff runs, or the countless hours of work behind the scenes. Seattle, meanwhile, would be welcoming not just a slugger, but a person stepping into a new chapter with uncertainty and hope intertwined. Financially, the speculation around this deal has fueled endless debate, but what stands out is the idea of compromise. Rumors suggest that both teams had to bend to accept imperfections in order to make the bigger picture work. That alone signals seriousness. Big market teams do not compromise unless they believe the alternative is worse. Small and mid-market teams do not take on risk unless they see opportunity. This balance is why so many insiders believe the chatter has substance. Trades like this are not born from impulse, but from mutual recognition that change is necessary. For the fans who follow every rumor like a breadcrumb trail, this story feels like a reminder of why baseball never truly sleeps. Even without official announcements, the game lives in conversations, in speculation, in the collective imagination of millions. The idea of Stanton in Seattle and no longer in New York reshapes mental maps instantly. It sparks arguments, excitement, and anxiety in equal measure. That emotional reaction is often the first sign that a rumor is touching something real, something unresolved. In the end, whether this trade is finalized or fades into the archive of what might have been, it already feels like a symbolic moment. It represents the Yankees acknowledging change, the Mariners embracing ambition, and Stanton standing at a crossroads between legacy and reinvention. As a YouTuber telling this story, you can almost hear the collective inhale of the baseball world waiting for the next notification, the next confirmation. Until then, this rumor lives on, growing louder with every retelling, reminding us that in baseball, the most powerful stories often begin long before anything becomes official. Now the conversation shifts fully toward what this possible move could represent emotionally and symbolically for Giancarlo Stanton, because beyond contracts and uniforms, this is about identity. For years, Stanton has carried the weight of being the centerpiece of a massive expectation machine in New York, where every swing is analyzed and every slump becomes a headline. The rumor of a trade to Seattle feels like a quiet reset, almost a chance to breathe again. People around the league speculate that Stanton might welcome a market where he can simply play, where the conversation starts with what he does on the field instead of what he represents financially. Seattle offers distance from the constant storm, a place where the pressure still exists but does not suffocate. In this narrative, Stanton is no longer the face of a grand experiment, but a seasoned power bat joining a collective mission. That subtle shift could unlock a different mindset, one driven more by joy and urgency than by survival, and that alone makes this rumor feel meaningful. From a competitive angle, insiders keep circling back to how much fear Stanton's presence alone can inject into a lineup. Even when numbers fluctuate, pitchers respect his ability to change a game with one swing. The Mariners, often described as disciplined and balanced, but lacking intimidation, suddenly project a different image in this speculation. Opposing teams would no longer view Seattle as simply organized and scrappy, but dangerous. That matters over a long season because fear changes decisions. Mistakes happen faster, counts shift, and entire pitching plans unravel. The rumor suggests Seattle is not chasing nostalgia, but leverage. They are betting that Stanton's reputation still carries enough gravity to tilt matchups before the first pitch is even thrown. If that belief drives this deal, it speaks volumes about how much value teams still assign to presence, not just production. There's also the locker room dynamic, something fans rarely see but players talk about constantly. Stanton arriving in Seattle, even in theory, would instantly change the internal hierarchy. Younger players would have a reference point, someone who has lived through the highest highs and loudest criticisms. Sources speculate that the Mariners value this influence just as much as the home runs. A veteran who understands pressure can steady a clubhouse during inevitable rough stretches. In New York, Stanton was one of many stars. In Seattle, he could become a voice, a stabilizer, someone whose experience adds layers to a developing core. That shift from being one piece among many to being a guide could redefine how his presence is felt day to day. For Yankees fans, this second chapter of the rumor brings reflection more than anger. Many already seem to accept that the relationship had reached its natural limit. The speculation has triggered debates about legacy, about whether Stanton's time in New York should be remembered for flashes of dominance or for unmet expectations. What stands out is a sense of closure. Sometimes a trade rumor resonates because it aligns with an emotional truth fans already feel. This one does. It feels like both sides quietly acknowledging that the fit was never perfect, even if the intentions were. Letting go becomes easier when the alternative feels like stagnation. But before we continue, please remember to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the latest news about the New York Yankees. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments. Financial discussions swirl around this rumor, but what keeps surfacing is the idea of shared responsibility. The Yankees, if this happens, appear willing to accept less than total relief, while Seattle appears willing to absorb calculated risk. That mutual compromise is often the clearest sign that conversations are real. No side wins cleanly in deals like this, but both sides gain movement. Baseball executives thrive on movement. Standing still is the real danger. This rumored trade feels like motion, like two franchises refusing to be trapped by past decisions. Ultimately, this second part of the story is about reinvention. Stanton, Seattle, and New York all stand to redefine themselves through this move if it becomes reality. For Stanton, it is a chance to chase relevance on his own terms. For the Mariners, it is a statement that patience does not mean passivity. For the Yankees, it is an admission that even the boldest plans sometimes need revision. As this rumor continues to echo through the baseball world, it carries the weight of possibility. And in this sport, possibility is often the most powerful force of all. As this extended chapter of speculation settles, the dominant feeling is anticipation mixed with acceptance. People are no longer asking if it happens, but how it will unfold emotionally and symbolically. That shift marks the final stage of a major rumor's life cycle. It becomes less about information and more about meaning. In a YouTube-style closing tone, this is where the narrator reminds the audience that some stories announce themselves long before microphones turn on. Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Yankees now feel intertwined in the public imagination, bound together by whispers that grew too loud to ignore. Whether the official words arrive soon or later, the impact has already landed. The rumor has done its work, reshaping expectations and planting a flag in the future, daring reality to catch up. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the New York Yankees, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.